I think people should be allowed to make jokes.
So how many motherfucking Jews have to be killed before you stop?
If he were an actual comedian he'd be run out on a rail. So for those of you who didn't see what kind of set him off, Dave Portnoy, and let me make sure that I'm clear about the point here. This is a guy who's made his career off of everything is fair game. And I agree with him. And by the way, he said some things where I'm like, ugh, maybe I wouldn't say that. But that's his right. And that's what he's done. So the optics aren't great here when the entire brand is predicated on being irreverent. Here he is last week in Toronto, where this is how it all started.
One bite, everyone knows the rules. We didn't get here the first time. Place is very cool on the inside. We got Frankie Lazzani's whole story, which almost seemed borderline not believable. See, there we go. There we go. What are you guys laughing about?
Terrible.
Exactly. So here we go. One bite, everybody knows the rules. We won't let that get into what is that Toronto hospitality there?
Okay, look, by the way, that was just lazy. Someone go, if the Jews, that's not a joke. That's just someone being anti-Semitic. I get it. I'd probably be pissed too if I was Jewish. But then to go off on a live broadcast where he extends it and talks, he's using the leftist talking points. When does your freedom of speech infringe on my right? Well, the answer is never. The answer is never unless there is a definitive call to action that would be a violent crime, like calling for the death, offering up a prescription on how to physically harm Jews. So the answer is never. Here is Portnoy having a meltdown using what seem to be liberal talking points.
When does freedom of speech impinge
That was your
on freedom
question,
of
not
religion?
mine. That was your question. Not
Answer
mine.
it.
How many deaths?
Yeah.
I don't have an answer.
Like how in America, American citizens.
What's your answer to that question?
Now.
Okay. We're there.
Now.
So now what? So now what do we do?
So maybe you stop with the fucking Jew jokes and act like it's not a big deal when someone does the Jews in a bar. Shut up. If you just want me to ignore it.
Don't tell me to shut up.
Shut the fuck up, you bald f***.
Okay, go ahead.
How's that?
Oh, it's kill. I'll never recover from that, Dave. Go ahead, continue. I'll never recover.
Well, you're the one who big boss man, don't tell. I'll tell you work for me.
Okay, go ahead,
You
continue.
little bitch, you work for me.
Sure.
Well, that's the sign of a man who's losing control.
Now, quit. I don't care. I'll save 500 grand.
Is this show or not a show? Like, is this a show or not a show? Like, we can't have a conversation?
You're an idiot.
Okay, continue.
You're literally saying people should be allowed to make Jew jokes, say whatever they want.
Of course.
Now. That's
Yes, I think people should be allowed to make jokes.
So how many motherfucking Jews have to be killed before you stop?
That I don't think.
What else? Where else is that happening with the religion or people?
I don't think those.
Have you checked the
psychopaths,
Christians
I'm with you, those
in Africa?
scumbags are the worst people on the earth. Should that?
You don't think it's all related?
But Dave, you're telling a comedian not to make a joke?
It's not a comedian.
I'm with you, but you said stop all jokes.
And neither are you. That's Dave Portnoy's problem.
Jew jokes of that nature now.
We'll ban Jew jokes of that nature.
And this is the issue, right? It's one thing to be cute and to have a blog and to sort of be edgy. If he were an actual comedian he'd be run out on a rail because you just can't react that way. And then as he starts to lose control, where people disagree with his point, that's where the puff up the masculine, you little bitch thing. That's a dog barking because they're scared. He's losing control. He's not in control of his emotions. We all have those moments.
Yeah.
But
his logic really broke down too.
Yes.
I mean, he started saying, well, how many have to die? I'm like, well, how many actually have died because of this rhetoric? What are you even talking about? And look, you can say jokes about anything. In fact, I've got one myself.
Jewish joke?
Well, let's not categorize it. So a group of 5 Jewish women, they're eating at a busy cafe, and the waiter nervously approaches the table and says, "Hey, ladies, anything all right?"
Is it? What's?
What is
I'm
that?
so confused about. What is that?
Is that part of your joke?
Oh my god. I have had enough to hear with this fucking Michigas. The plight of my people will no longer be mocked.
Calm down, it's just a joke.
Just a joke. Just a joke. Was October 7th a joke to you? Was the Holocaust a joke to you? Was building the pyramids a joke to you?
What?
I think it's pretty clear that no one's saying the historical enslavement of your people to build the pyramids was a joke.
Yeah, Nick, I think that's pretty clear. I think that's pretty clear, just like the bacon grease you used to cook my latkes in for lunch the other day. Yeah, that was pretty clear and pretty trafe. It was also pretty clear, like whomever sewed it on that skateboarding patch that was supposedly a skateboarding patch. It was an iron cross. Oh, just a skateboarding patch. I wore that to shul. The rabbi kicked me out and I can't go there anymore.
Sam, just calm down, bud.
You sit your ass down.
Holy.
Sit your ass the f*** down.
Whoa!
Okay.
The studio locks.
I think it's.
Yeah, it's fine.
I didn't come in last.
Honestly, it wasn't that good of a joke, Gerald.
I guess we shouldn't make jokes?
Yeah. This is whenever you hear someone from the right start using talking points of the left, and Dave Portnoy is not right, to be clear. He is sort of spoken out against the woke left. Mm-hmm. His rhetoric now sounds exactly like them. Right? This is what yeah, but at what point, how many times will it change my mind? Where I don't even do it anymore. A few reasons I don't do it, because it became so old hat. It was the same points, right? You knew that if you talked about freedom of speech, someone would say, well, when does your freedom of speech infringe on my, you don't have a right to not be offended. I'm sorry, that's not a thing. There's no right to not be offended. You don't like it, that's fine. But for you to claim you have the right to not be offended, you're actually violating my rights. You also could even be violating my property rights. In other words, if you're offended and you're in close proximity to my property where I'm speaking, it's just becomes too convoluted. So we don't do that. We do the First Amendment is absolute outside of criminal prescriptions. Does that make sense? I don't know that I've ever put it that. Criminal prescriptions. Hey, I want you to kill this person. That's a criminal prescription. You can say fire in a crowded theater, provided there's a fire in a crowded theater, or provided, even if there isn't, you believe there is. The only problem, when you're dealing with civil damages usually, is if you knowingly claim fire in a crowded theater to cause bodily harm as a lie. So I don't know how Portnoy it's not that he freaked out. Everyone can have their days, okay? We've all had them. I don't know how he can rationalize it the way that you just heard and have a leg to stand on when, let's go to back then, Portnoy used the exact opposite premise to justify, and I think completely justifiably, his rape jokes.
I never condone rape, but if you're a size 6 and you're wearing skinny jeans, you kind of deserve to be raped.
Correct. I stand by that. I think it's a funny joke.
You think rape is funny?
No, I didn't say that. I think it's a funny joke.
Do you understand how offensive that is?
No, I obviously don't.
Now, here's the thing. Just switch it with, do you think rape is funny, to, do you think the death of Jews is funny? Do you realize how offensive it is to make fun of Jews? It's the exact same thing. Just switch the seats. That's my issue with it. Just switch the seats.
Yeah, it doesn't even matter. I mean, I don't think he's making a very logical point either. If somebody had walked up, and I say this to make a point, if somebody had walked up when the 2 Jewish people were gunned down, and that was a horrific crime, and said exactly what somebody said at his video on pizza, that would still not be a crime.
Right. Yeah.
Not be a crime, Dave. Like, you have to understand what you're calling for is a censorship of speech, period, if you do that.
And this is the thing, too, that, guys, we've been talking about this. We've been talking about covert feminists, and we talked about Nala Ray yesterday. We've talked about Elon Musk. And you have conservative female thought leaders out there actively supporting OnlyFans because it empowers women to get that bag, sweetheart. This is not a time, with the wins that we've experienced, to dilute what it is that we believe. And free speech is absolute, okay? I get that it was cool to have some people, some unlikely alliances, where they were coming into the fold, and they're welcome. They are welcome to be here. But do not allow these people to be leaders, and do not allow them to have more influence in this sphere, in our movement, meaning the movement of traditional conservative America, MAGA, conservative, that big tent. Don't allow people to come in and go, yeah, well, I was on the Trump train, and now I think we can all agree that that speech is too offensive. Absolutely not. It will grow as a cancer, and it needs to be cut out. The only way it can be cut out is through a retraction from Dave Portnoy and a repudiation of what he said. I had my moment. Of course, I think freedom of speech is absolute. Or you guys have to choose to give him no credence because he doesn't believe, but you believe. And of course, I get it. Look, Jew jokes being made, and I understand why Jewish people would be more sensitive, just like I understand why Asian people would have been more sensitive when there was a Stop Asian Hate until they were no longer useful to the left. But all groups of people are permissible, and all subjects for humor, for comedy. Of course, I should say one caveat. None of that includes Muslims because, well, they blow stuff up, and that's pretty much a nature thing, not nurture.
Oh, who's my little malak? Coochie coochie coo.
Goo goo gaga. Allahu Akbar.
Don't know about the pizza in that region, but
Many such cases. 3 out of 5.
yeah. By the way, Portnoy is another example of a celebrity who is getting increasingly difficult to, I don't want to say work with, to justify with people who are traditional conservatives and have hitched their wagon to this. There is no way to justify what he just said. He's probably becoming increasingly difficult to work with for everyone around him, including his staff.
Yeah. So, by the way, I just wanted to say, you did say he should come out and make a statement. Well, he did. I'll get the video sent in. We'll do that maybe for Rumble Premium. But he basically is just doubling down and saying people are getting all mad about this, and he's deflecting, and he's getting a little defensive on it. And it's like, no, just own it and move on. But we'll show you guys the response. It's about 6 minutes of
we'll do that in Rumble
him
Premium.
not taking responsibility and admitting that free speech is absolute.
Well, so like a liberal who wants lower taxes.
All right, real quick. I got a conference, but this rant, I'm going viral per usual, trending on Twitter. That's what this guy does. I open my mouth and it just goes everywhere. I know it, clip. That's the deal. The latest one, me and Kirk from Unnamed, me yelling at Kirk, and you got everyone, oh, how could Dave ever talk to his employees like that? And fat boy Jason Whitlock, oh, he's evil. And Des Bryant, well, is he run like an offshore gambling company or something? He's like, don't ever, how can you talk to your employees like that? These guys just shut up and mind your business. Welcome to Barstool, all right? Mm-hmm. This is how we talk to each other back and forth, especially Kirk and I.
Pro-free speech,
so
I get
just
it.
Shut up. Shut up. Those people don't know what the fuck they're talking
Barstool is pro-free
about.
speech irreverent.
This is about the bigger thing. And again, clips, what we talk about, taken out of context. Now I'm seeing, oh, Dave wants to throw people in jail for Jew jokes, and Dave wants to, regulate Jew jokes. He's been this free speech guy, and remember, he sang that Ja Rule lyric 10 years ago and shit. It's crazy. So let me set this. Let me just set the record straight because people just watch the little clips.
Oh no, good that he's setting the record straight.
Yeah, I'm saying good that he's setting the record straight. Sorry, I didn't mean that was the end. I want to hear the. Rewind it a little bit.
I was referring.
Let me just
straight.
Okay, I was saying good that he's going to set the record straight.
Noted.
Now let's have him set the record straight.
Because people just watch the little clips.
Hold on, pause. I thought that was pretty clear. You work for me, you fucking bitch.
Well, I believe he said
I'm the boss. What?
Well, bald as well.
You bald? Who's bald here?
The guy.
Tim, take off your hat.
Oh, he's not bald.
You soon-to-be bald bitches!
Oh, come on.
I wanted him to set the record straight. You Jew fag!
Oh, wow.
Whoa, hey.
All right, go ahead.
Though I hear there's a higher proclivity in Israel. So
if you're making a Jew joke,
is a bad time for me to come in.
Right now, after a bunch of Jews get Molotov cocktails thrown at them in Colorado, or after 2 Jews are gunned down outside a Jewish museum, and your response
by who?
Is somehow it's like the Jews' fault or a veiled Jew joke, you're an anti-Semitic piece of shit. That's what this was about. This was about after Mo Khan held the "fuck the Jews" sign in my bar, and I kicked him out and tried to make
all crappy things, but that's not what he said. We'll go back to his previous clip where he said, "At what point does your right to free speech infringe on my safety?" That's what
religion is what he started to say too. And I was like, hold on.
Right.
He's conflating these things. He's saying if your response to those things happening is an F the Jews joke, and I'm like, well, hold on. How do you know that this person was saying it in response to anything?
Right.
It wasn't like the kids being shot, which again was a tragedy, and I hope that person burns in hell for that. Go over a couple of weeks ago or something like that. The guy that attacked him there. Okay, a handful of. Do you even know if the guy knows anything about those 2 events?
Yeah.
Like they're fairly recent. Got it. Okay. Do you think that's the response? And by the way, do you think that kind of rhetoric is what's really driving this? No, I don't think somebody out there yelling that in what seemed to be kind of like a silly.
But here's the thing: none of that matters. Respectfully, none of that matters because even if it's the case, you still have freedom of speech being absolute, and it means that his previous argument, he needs to set the record straight on: are you pro free speech for all? Freedom of speech, no matter how offensive, does not infringe on your personal safety, or infringe on your freedom of religion. That's really the rate limiting factor here. Let's see if he clarifies that.
Doesn't.
An example of a troll basically was saying, like, I have no right to talk about that or be mad about that. It's just a joke. I make jokes.
Pause. No one said you don't have a right to talk about it. No one said you don't have a right to be mad about it. I started the segment with saying, I get it. I'd probably be pissed too, to one degree or another. Now, as a comedian, it would be handled differently, but Dave Portnoy's not one. He's kind of cute and he's kind of edgy, and so I understand that he lost his cool and wasn't able to pull it back. It's like losing a crowd and not being able to win them back. I get it. He had a bad day. That's not what people were saying, though, that you don't have the right to be mad. People had a problem with you saying at what point, and started talking like the left. We'll play the clip again after this. At what point does your freedom of speech infringe on mine? And we went, whoa, 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 whoa. So don't conflate it. Don't lie about it. Play.
Well, that's an anti-Semitic piece of shit. I'm not saying he should be in jail. I'm not saying put him in cuffs. I'm just saying that dude is an anti-Semitic piece of shit. If you can't tell the difference between fuck the Jews, which was not a joke, that was Mo Khan's thing, and you become Mo Khan and just be like, what, I can't joke anymore? Either way, freedom of speech. I'm fine with it. I've dealt with Jewish jokes for 20 years. Have you ever seen me talk about, don't make Jewish jokes? No, I got thick skin. I don't give a fuck.
All right, hold on. I don't know if you can keep that in a window. Let's go back to the first clip where have you ever seen me talk about freedom of speech and say that you can't make jokes? Yeah, I saw you start building the case before you flipped out that freedom of speech somehow infringes on your rights if it's, I guess, to the degree of being offensive enough. Let's roll that clip that we have of the first clip of Portnoy. Do you know where that is?
The first clip.
The Portnoy clip.
Portnoy jokes.
The one where he loses it.
Where he loses
not
it?
the pizza.
Yeah, okay,
jokes.
jokes. Here we go.
When does freedom of speech impinge
That was your
on freedom
question,
of
not
religion?
mine. That was your question. Not
Answer
mine.
it.
How many deaths?
Yeah.
Pause.
I don't.
There, I mean, I don't even think we need to go further in the clip. He said, when have you ever seen me? There you go. We just saw it.
Yep.
In context, it's pretty clear.
One day ago.
When does your freedom of speech impede on my freedom of religion? Way after your freedom of religion impedes on my freedom of speech.
Right. It doesn't at all. It doesn't at all. Mocking your religion doesn't at all. Mocking your entire race of people doesn't at all. It's not good to do. It sucks.
The Muslims and the Jews, they hate each other, but they're kind of similar.
But you have the right to speak. So when have I ever? There, we just showed it to you. So now let's go back to the current clip and see if he actually admits to that. I'm willing to bet he doesn't.
Joke, people say dumb shit. People say sometimes funny shit. 20 years, I haven't mentioned it not once. Suddenly I'm mentioning it because I've noticed in the Mo Khan thing brought it to a head, a real change in this country where it's just open season on the Jews. Now, where I do think freedom of speech, freedom of religion, is you have these protests where they're like saying, what is it, global jihad and globalize the intifadella, or whatever that word is.
Intifada.
And they're saying from the river to the sea, and they're holding Hamas-like flags and headbands and all this, saying kill the Jews and kill all Americans and all this shit. And guess what? People are starting to kill Jews in America.
Pause. Here's the thing. He's conflating issues there. I agree with you. If someone is out there saying kill the Jews and supporting a terrorist organization like Hamas, certainly that if they're here on some kind of a student or work visa, it should be revoked. Also because those people aren't afforded the same First Amendment rights here in the United States. But I agree with you with that. Kill the Jews. We need to exterminate the Jews. Again, that's calling for a criminal prescription. F the Jews to a blogger doesn't qualify.
That's
and this is really, really easy, rudimentary stuff if you actually have thought about these issues and are truly a First Amendment absolutist. Yes.
Saying F the Jews is actually a rape joke, which I heard he's okay with.
Yes, that's a very good point. And so am I. You probably shouldn't do it, but I do sometimes.
I think it's in poor taste, but it's your right.
Sometimes it's okay. Let's go to the next clip. The video. You know, him saying stupid stuff.
At him. They're gunning him down outside Jewish Museum. There's two other examples. One guy was outside a nursery school and was saying, I'm going to kill all these kids. Went to a gun store to buy a gun, all in the same motion to go back. And he actually, thank God, they didn't give him the gun. He didn't pass the background check. And the clerk is literally like, this guy's muttering how he's going to go kill all these Jewish kids. at a
That's
nursery
not speech.
school in America, in the United States of America, American citizens. So, yes, colleges and people and even politicians have coddled this speech. Be
Pause.
like, oh,
Okay, you know what? Just enough. That's enough. Let me tell you exactly what this is. Maybe someone can bring this up, not to make it about myself, but with Piers Morgan. A lot of people know, they focus on the fact that I said the N-word, although really there's been no outrage over it because contextually, I was proving a point that context matters and that you can use it and not be a racist. But what was really most telling to me, it was a moment, and this is what we're seeing play out, the exact same mindset with Portnoy. When people say grifter, what they mean is someone who capitalizes on a niche, on a group of people, and usually the context here in our movement, it usually means capitalizing on the group of people who ideologically identify as conservative, right-leaning, MAGA, whatever it is, to make money. When it's not very genuine, they don't necessarily share the same values. Now, here's the thing. That can also happen, not through a premeditated manipulation and fleecing, but just someone saying, hey, I can make money that way, and they've not actually thought about these things. And I saw this happen with uncensored host Piers Morgan, who says that he's a free speech guy. And when I was doing an interview with him, there's a portion where he said, well, free speech has limits, doesn't it? For example, I said, like what? And he said, pedophilia. And I said, that's not speech. And by the way, Piers has been very friendly with me. This is not to disrespect Piers. There was silence. There was silence for a bit of time. And the reason for that is I could tell that he had not thought of that. It was so blatantly obvious. In other words, I didn't have to think about that answer. Neither would any of you watching, most likely. If someone said, well, there are exceptions to freedom of speech, and you said, well, like what? And they said pedophilia, you too would go, that has nothing to do with speech. But the stunned silence, I also think that there was a moment in time where Piers Morgan was mad at his producers for so ill-equipping him, giving him that talking point. I realized this guy's never actually thought about what freedom of speech is. That's what you're seeing with Dave Portnoy. You're seeing a guy who wanted some cover for, and deserves it, by the way, for offensive jokes. And I get it. The woke mob has come for him, and I would side with him against them because trying to appease those people is an exercise in futility. He has the right to make rape jokes. He has the right to make Jew jokes. He has the right to make Muslim jokes. He has the right to make Christian jokes. He has the right to do whatever he wants and say whatever he wants. And I would support it even if I don't like whatever joke or statement he's making. But he has not thought about this. And that is why he is conflating all of this. He doesn't know how to untie this yarn that he's been spinning here. He doesn't know how to untie these knots because it didn't start from a genuine place. This guy is he's not a free speech guy. And I'm sorry if you say there are exceptions to freedom of speech, and I said, like what? And you say pedophilia, you've not thought about this. You've not. And I won't hear otherwise. It's just something you say. It's like someone who says, well, I'm a Christian. You go, okay, well, what does that mean? Well, I try to be a good person, and, I believe that everyone who's a good person goes to heaven. Okay, well, that's nice. You're not a Christian. You can say you are, but you've not thought about it. You can say you're a free speech guy, but if you think that pedophilia, the raping of a child, has anything to do with the First Amendment, you don't know the First Amendment. If you think that someone saying F the Jews on a Bristol board is somehow freedom, it impinges on your freedom of practicing your religion. And I don't even know how observant Portnoy is in the Jewish religion. You've not thought about the First Amendment. We can argue about all these other points and conflation. He had a bad day, but none of it matters. If someone is going to hold themselves out as an advocate, as an ambassador for the First Amendment, they should have at some point in their life actually thought about the First Amendment. Do we have that clip from Piers Morgan? Someone who has a show uncensored, which they censor, and claim they are a free speech guy, but then make the case, and this is someone obviously in a position of impact, a position of leadership, a position of influence, I'm a free speech guy. But look, there are exceptions to the First Amendment. Like what? Pedophilia. That's not a free speech guy. I'm glad that Piers Morgan isn't the same guy who believed that you should have all of your guns taken away and advocated for it for a very, very long time and basically performed the closest thing you can in media to persecuting gun owners. Again, he's been very, very nice with me. I have a good relationship with him. I don't say that I'm speaking out of turn here because he's invited me on his show and he's been invited here. But he needs to spend a lot more time as an apprentice before he goes out and says, by the way, I'm the free speech guy. My show is called Uncensored. Let me be an ambassador. Also, freedom of speech doesn't cover pedophilia. What? Let's watch this. We'll see you tomorrow. Like what? What exclusions? Because I think we need to define it. Like what exclusions? Are you going to do the fire in a crowded theater thing?
No,
That's not
I'm going to
speech,
do.
it's a call to action. Okay.
If you look up the First Amendment and look at the exclusions, paedophilia, pornography, things like that are not covered by First Amendment protection rights.
That's not speech. That's not speech. That's where you're conflating freedom of speech and freedom of expression, which many Democrats have done in the name of modern
I'm talking
art.
about
Vagina is exactly what I would say if I wasn't here on YouTube. So go and subscribe on Rumble. Same channel where free speech is actually alive and well. Or you can stay here and the